my gratitude, heartfelt thanks, infinite respect to our High Commission Office. All of you have supported me for the workshop, and last week Mr. Mukesh ji requested me to give a talk so that community is involved. And I am very grateful to all of you for your support, not only for the work but also for the talk. You are doing wonderful things. All the events you have organized are superb. I will start with this note. Long time ago, I read a poem called "We'll Look Before and After and Pine for What Is Not." Now we are pining, we pine for what is not, but we got everything in Indian culture. So today's talk, I will present the nature of human beings, contrasting it with the Western concept of human beings. And I will be presenting this talk, offering my regards, respect, everything to my Gurujis who grew up in India, and he was the most learned person I have ever met. From the age of 10, he studied in Varanasi. Now, regarding human beings, there are 4 concepts in Western civilization, and none of them seems to be satisfactory to me. When you come to Indian side, there are 6 concepts together which will define the nature of human beings, or to use the language of later Wittgenstein, which will represent the form of life of human beings, the form of life. To begin with, Western civilization, Plato claimed, as you know, the founder of Western philosophy. And Plato, as Whitehead said, entire Western philosophy is a footnote of Plato. Entire Western civilization is equivalent to one system of Indian philosophy. But tragedy is that we have to know our culture. It is to be revived. Plato said that human beings are to be defined in terms of rationality. Rationality, what is the function of reason? It is said regarding reason, Western philosophers are saying, regarding the use of the term reason, it is said a word used in many various, often vague senses with complex, sometimes obscure connections, one with another, from dictionary. That means they do not have a specific concept of reason, obscure. But in Plato, reason means you apprehend the ideas like universals, humanity, redness, and ultimately the good. But animals cannot. In Aristotle, the disciple of Plato, rationality means it is exhibited in terms of reasoning, inductive, deductive, and he calls it abductive. Inductive, you see swans are white, so you generalize all swans are white. Similarly, deductive reasoning, all human beings are mortal. I am a human being, therefore I am mortal. Therefore, abductive is when you have scientific hypothesis. You postulate something to explain something. Although this is not what Plato, Aristotle meant. So, according to Aristotle, practical reason, theoretical reason and practical reason. What is practical reason? It will guide you in your action. For example, today, you started with the theme, then we had, after this program, we had also some snacks, refreshment, so it will guide you in your action. So if you want to buy something, first you have to have money, then you go to shops, then you select. This is called practical reason. Then in Kant, if I have to mention three philosophers from Western Hemisphere, then obviously Plato, Aristotle and Kant. So there is a gap, big gap, 18th century philosopher. But then also he has not come to the standard of Indian ethics. I will point out. He claims that what is reason? That you apprehend some categories. Categories like existence, possibility, necessity, plurality, unity, and they are like, ways of knowing. They are ways, they are adverbial to our knowledge, experience. So without these categories, you cannot understand things in the world. And then in his practical reason, he claimed that your action, which is moral, is to be universalized. If I do something and what I ought to do, let everybody do. And he claims for the first time that human beings should not treat others merely as an end, merely as a means, but as an end in itself. That means slave labor, exploitation are to be banned. But if you contrast with Indian civilization, then long time ago it has been said, several thousands years ago. So, he is the person who is very close to, not very close, but closer than other philosophers to Indian concept of dharma. Then in Hegel we find, after Kant in 19th century, and Hegel, rational is real. If something is rational, then it is real. Real and rational, he equated. So, this is in substance the meaning of the word reason in some great philosophers of Western civilization. Another conception we come across in the philosophy of abortionists. When I came here, there was a debate, abortion, and some people were against, some people were in favor of it. Pro-abortionists claim that fetus is not a human being. That is why you can terminate the fetus. So, human being is defined in terms of certain experiences, such as loving, caring, learning. So fetus cannot have these experiences, Similarly, some people claim ability to communicate, then concept of self as a continuing subject of experiences and other mental states. Since fetus does not have all these characteristics, so fetus is not to be considered as a human being. Then we come in the Orthodox Christianity conception of human beings. As you know, and Vivekananda several times quoted in his lectures, Christian conception of God is such that God created human beings after his image, but not the animals. Therefore, human beings can use animals as a tool. Only God created human beings, and Vivekananda says what type of God it is, which discriminates. If you read Vivekananda, a lot of things you will come to know. Then, Orthodox Christianity says that human beings are ensouled by God. Ensoulment means when the mother feels the quickening, means movement of the baby. Then God comes and ensouls, then it becomes a human being. But these views of theologians lack empirical or rational justification. On a lot of which are difficult to accept or substantiate. They are like stories. Hence, these views are either dogmas, my view is dogmas, or articles of faith or myths. But there is no such view in the context of Indian philosophy. It is fully rational, means it is scientific, rational, and based on experience. Then comes the view of the existentialist philosophers. Existentialism is a reaction to excessive rationalism in the Western philosophy and Western way of living. In some sense of the word reason or the other. Existentialism is a product of war. First World War, Second World War. When human beings are killing human beings, millions have been killed, billions have been destitute, and everybody suffered, including, entire world population suffered. They emphasize emotions, deep emotions, Kierkegaard. He emphasized anxiety. Now, I feel that existentialism has its origin in Shakespeare, when he said, life is a tale told by an idiot, full of fury and sound, signifying nothing. And I find the echo of nothing in existentialist philosophers like Camus, who even prescribed suicide. Life is nothing. It is meaningless. It has no meaning. But from the dawn of human civilization, Indian philosophers assign meaning to life. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the goals of life. Everybody. So, they emphasize that human beings are emotional beings. Anxiety, not rational, emotional. I found 6 versions of existentialism in different philosophical traditions of the continent. Second one, that essence of X lies in its existence. In Orthodox or in Christianity, God created human beings after His image, but the concept of human being was there. Concept of human being. So essence precedes existence. First you have the concept, then you have the existence. And existentialism claims first you have existence, then you have your essence. So you make your essence. And I found a very interesting in Spanish existentialism in Ortega. He says, X is the human being if and only if X is what X is not. That means you live in hopes and desires. So your existence lies in your hopes and desires. Not in actuality what you have achieved, but in your what you are striving for. And I found this song of Seigel long time ago. उम्मीद के फूलों से एक घर को सजाया था. Umeed means
Hopes.
all hopes and desires play the role in our life. So you live in hopes and desires. So what you are, what type of hopes, unfulfilled hopes and desires you have. Now Sartre, who has popularized existentialism virtually, he was the champion in France of existentialism, and he defines existentialism in terms of free choices. The choices you have made, whether they are free or not, the free choices you have made, that is your you, and the free choices I have made, me. So every individual makes some choices, and his examples are very famous. Whether to join the army to liberate France during the Second World War, or to serve your ailing mother. You have the choice. Sometimes all of you have this choice in your life. And when you opt for one without constraint, it is your choice, not constrained by or dictated by anyone else, then this is you, different from all other human beings. So I got some notes also, but due to time constraint, we cannot go to it. He says, we are left alone without excuse. That is what I mean when I say that man is condemned to be free. When you make your choice. Now, what I am claiming, this is 4 dimensions of Western philosophy. This is how they define. In terms of 1, rationality, then second one, pro-abortionist, third one is Orthodox Christianity, God comes and ensouls, then you become a human being, and God has created human beings after His image, but not the animals. And then existentialism, which emphasizes our emotions. I am claiming, unlike Western philosophers, Indian philosophers do not define human beings in terms of reason or certain attitudes, such as caring, or certain emotions, such as anxiety. This is due to the fact that these properties are present in higher animals such as chimpanzees also. Then, what is their form of life? I have mentioned already in my Guruji 6 characteristics of human beings. First of all, human beings have the concept of ought not. What I ought to do, I may be wrong. But the fact that you have this concept of ought not, is one characteristic of human being. Animal does what it is asked to do. But human beings have, either rightly or wrongly, what ought to be done. You may be mistaken, but you have the concept of ought not. So, concept of ought is related to the concept of dharma. What I ought to do? They give you a list of activities, dharma. And what is dharma? That which holds. It is like a pillar. Pillar for human beings, society, for myself, my family, my society, for all human beings, as well as all sentient beings, as well as all natural beings and nature at large, including rivers, ocean and
mountains.
When Hillary scaled the mountain, he used a language which is derogatory. I have conquered the bastard. But Indian concept is, when Tenzing scaled the mountain, he has a feeling of reverence. Attitude of reverence is present in Indian culture towards nature at large. So, dharma is what I ought to do. I may be wrong, but the concept of ought is there. And then Indian philosophers from the very dawn of civilization have cultivated what we ought to do is our nature. Just an hour ago we had this conversation. I am very grateful to all of you for reviving our culture. So dharma is something higher. It supports the world, it supports the human society as well as the world. Yo lokan dharayati yena manava samajo dhrita sadharma. Now, Indian philosophers from the very dawn of civilization have mentioned adharmic activities, list of adharmic activities. Violence, 81 types of violence have been listed in the tradition. In yoga system, 81 types of violence. And yoga, how old it is? As old as the Vedic thoughts, because all of them are derived from Vedas. So you can compare, Western civilization with Indian. Second one, when we have ought concept, then you have freedom, free will. Otherwise, ought has no meaning. You ought to do means I'm free to do, I can do it. If you cannot do it, like machine, I will not say that machine ought to do this, because machine does what it does. Ought means can, means you got freedom to choose. Either you ought to do or you may not do, or you may remain neutral. So, Indian philosophers by and large emphasize the ability and the achievement of human beings. It is said in Yoga Vasishtha, which has proto-epic, by human exertion, Brihaspati became the teacher of gods. By your will, you can achieve almost anything. You can be a teacher of gods even. So, it goes on and on, the freedom of choice by your effort, what you can achieve. According to Yoga Vasishtha, liberation or freedom can be achieved in the bodily form, and there is no difference between the embodied and disembodied types of liberation. That means you can achieve here and now your liberation. Liberation is not something mystical entity. When you follow dharmic activities and follow these, then you are liberated. And Swami Vivekananda used to say, tell me what we can achieve here and now. So, Yoga Vasishtha says that you can achieve here and now. Then human beings are guided by the concept of infinity. Somehow you learn the concept of infinity. Infinity, what it means here, that there is no limit. No matter what you have achieved, you can say, I could have achieved more. No matter how much you did for society, for yourself, you can have the concept that I could have done more. This more means without any limit is the concept of infinity. So when it is said Sanatana Dharma, what does it mean? Sanatana means we cannot put a limit to it, means we cannot describe when it originated. So this is what is called infinity. So we have this concept of infinity, at least it is present potentially. Regarding the origin of the concept of infinity, once my student asked, it may be said that it is derived from our knowledge of arithmetic, or the number starts, has no end. Moreover, since we know what a finite object or being is, we also know, at least implicitly, its correlate, which is infinite. That was my answer to my student. So, from our conception of time also, we derive the concept of infinity, as time series has no beginning. Another dimension or the form of life of human beings is creativity or suggestive meaning. Human beings can create and have suggestive meanings. For example, when I say the village is on the Ganges, the village is on the Ganges, you say, how can village be on the Ganges? Perhaps he meant close to the Ganges. And suggestive meaning is, these people must be pious, one suggestion. They are living close to the Ganges. Another suggestion might be that these people are fond of visiting other places, because through Ganges you take the boat and visit other places. In those days, if you are Kashi going to Banaras, then you take boat. So, these are the suggestive meanings. When poet Rabindranath Tagore passed away, the newspaper said, Robi Astamito. Robi, Rabindranath Tagore, Astamito means sun has set. It has got several meanings. Similarly, when Sartre passed away in France, Paris, the newspaper said, France has lost its conscience. That means Sartre stood for the conscience of France. Sartre, in his existentialism, proposed humanism. Humanism is existentialism. That means there should not be any discrimination between human beings. And he has tried to prove in terms of his thesis. So, human beings have suggestive meanings which will transcend metaphorical meanings. And human beings alone can practice these suggestive meanings. That is one of their forms of life. So I have mentioned the suggestive meaning goes beyond the metaphorical meaning in several directions. There are no rules for suggestive meaning as we have for metaphorical meaning. Everybody can suggest new things. Then, number 5, the realization of certain rasas that are impersonal in nature suggests the spiritual nature of human beings. Rasa cannot be identified with our usual emotions, although it presupposes our ordinary emotions for its manifestation or realization. One classification is permanent rasas in us. Rasa is not, some of the books have equated rasas with emotions. But when you transcend emotions, then you realize rasas. And Kashmiri poets have described it very nicely. So one classification is rasa is rati, means love. And you have to, Einstein wrote a letter to his daughter on love. Super. He says, love is God, God is love. Einstein said. And scientists have to concentrate on love. Then hasya, mirth, shoka, grief, krodha, anger, utsaho, inspiration, bhaya, jigupsa, disgust, vishaya, wonder. Then shama, state of tranquility or spirit of renunciation. Human beings can achieve this spirit of renunciation, and then comes bhakti rasa, spirit of devotion. These characteristics in some form or the other is present in human beings, at least to some extent, if not fully realized. So, last two are very important for distinguishing human beings from others. They are latent in human beings and are manifested under certain conditions, such as association with noble or saintly persons. My Guruji also told me association of noble or saintly persons, study of scriptures, spiritual discourse, and association with holy places also. Then there are variant emotions which varies, and 30, according to one classification, there are 33 types. Although Kashmiri poets have introduced so many types. It is to be noted that permanent emotions or abiding impressions of our mind and produce rasa, a type of realization. Rasa is a kind of super mundane, lokottara, experience, although it has its origin in certain intense emotions. Hence, it cannot be identified with an emotion, even if it is caused by it. Rasa is enjoyed by sympathetic readers of literature or spectators of drama or performances, according to Kashmiri poets. The process which leads to the realization of rasa is called sadharanikriti, universalization or impersonalization. Perhaps impersonalization is a nice expression. These rasas expressed by or defined by Kashmiri poet Vishwanatha, Kashmiri philosopher. He says, these states belong to me, do not belong to me. They also belong to others and do not belong to others. Very nice couplet here. There is no distinction between you and me in the realization of these rasas. When I and you distinction evaporates. Parasya na parasyeti mameti na mameti cha. Tad asade vibhade puricheda na vidyate. Hence, at this level, we rise above the difference between I and thou, or between you and me, as we participate in a universal state of mind. So human beings have this ability. Then comes the sixth one. Human beings can realize metaphysical freedom or moksha or nirvana in varying degrees. Systems of Indian philosophy have interpreted the term moksha or nirvana in different ways. The connotations may be classified as positive or negative. In Buddhism alone, I got 8 interpretations of moksha. Negatively, it is a state of mind free from sorrows, sufferings, craving, selfishness, or defilement. When your mind is free from defilement, that state you achieve what is called moksha. You can achieve here and now. So the word nirvana consists of ni plus vana. The negative particle ni signifies absence or cessation, and the word vana signifies or craving. When you have of craving or wishing, free from defilements. Hence the word nirvana means cessation or extinction of all types of craving, including physical, vocal, imaginary, or disposition. If there is no craving, then there is no transmigration of ethical contact. Therefore, the state of nirvana does not imply the extinction of the individual or the person, but only the cessation of one's craving or desires which are due to attachment, aversion, or delusion. It implies the extinction of the life of illusion, passion, and craving. So positively, nirvana or moksha is a blissful experience. The Advaita Vedanta characterizes it as the realization of truth, knowledge, and bliss. Dhammapada, a Buddhist text, has also emphasized its blissful nature. To quote, health is the highest gain, contentment is the greatest wealth, trustful are the best kinsmen, nibbana, derived from nirvana, is the highest bliss. The life is also characterized by enlightenment, as there is wisdom or higher knowledge. Hence the mind of a liberated person is characterized by peace, bliss, compassionate feeling, or love for all beings and the entire creation. Even if these are ideals, human beings can realize these ideals in varying degrees in this life here and now. Now you can contrast with the Western civilization the four views I have mentioned, and you come to realize the depth of Indian culture, which goes back to the Vedas. And this is what I would like to emphasize in this context, that Macaulay in 1835 said that he has visited length and breadth of India, has not found even a single beggar, single dishonest person. How to rule this country when morality is so high, people are so honest? There is only one way: to break their backbone. How? Impose our culture on them. They will forget what they have learned, and thus will make them what we want them to be, means slave. They will forget their culture and we will want them to be what we want them to be. And I am very grateful to High Commissioner for giving me opportunity to express my thought, to express at least one grain of human civilization. It is a vast ocean lying in front of me, and at least one grain